This video is brought to you by Scout's Eyes. If you're a talented footballer and you want to get yourself in front of a scout, visit Scout's Eyes right now or click the link in the description.
AFTV, we've got Nick here. Nick, we just watched the game, 90 minutes, Brighton away, a difficult ground to go to usually, but year on year now we've got the win and a win in comfortable fashion tonight.
Yeah, we're the only team to beat them, to get the double over in this season, I believe. We're the only team to score against them in both home and away games, and they've been unbeaten at their ground for the last 10 games consecutively. So yeah, we're setting trends right now, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, it was a professional performance. Defensively resolute again, not the first time we've said that. And in attack, you know, maybe not our fluent best, but Kai Havertz made the difference in the second half. A much maligned player. People might say cheeky coming from you. Listen, I'm doing the interview and now I'm the host. It's a different role.
Top professionalism from you still, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. So you got to do that, right? If Sky might be watching, I don't know, TNT might be watching, he can stay impartial, him. But yeah, Kai Havertz made the difference second half. I've given him man of the match, so I'm sure that you probably did the same.
Yeah, him, Gabriel, Ben White, and Jorginho, for me, that was the engine of the team. Everybody else did really well and did their jobs. And like you say, was it fluid? No. Was it our best? No. Of a 5-gear car, you'd probably say second gear maybe, in terms of just the attack, not the defense, just the attack. And still 3.4 XG. I know XG's, some people see it as a meaningless stat, but limiting Brighton to 0.5 XG, us 3.5 XG for a team that you'd say wasn't really at their best. So that just shows what this team could be on their day.
And you mentioned 4 players there. I think it was Kai, Jorginho, Gabriel and White, right?
Yeah.
I think at points this season we've talked a hell of a lot about Kai. We've talked a lot about Jorginho and, you know, how surprised we are at what he's doing for us a year on. We've talked about Gabriel a lot more recently, well deserved. Ben White, I feel like I've talked about him quite a bit, but no one really mentions his name, and that's why I want to bring him up, because you're one of the first to actually bring up his name without being asked. So, you know, is it just today? Has it been this calendar year? Is it the last 2 years? Because I've looked at him as a top 2 right back. Week in, week out, is a 7-8 minimum. Yeah,
you know, we have so many players. We talk about systems and machines when it comes to football, modern football. We have so many players that don't do things the most aesthetically. Do you know what I mean? You know, one of the players that's maybe more aesthetic is Erdegaard, but Ben White doesn't look aesthetic. When I tell people, especially my Chelsea friends, before they were in such a bad run of form, and I was saying to them, you know, I think he's up there with an attack, just from his attack inside of the game alone. I think he's up there, and they were laughing at me, and they were like, Reece James, like, have you seen him? The way he whips crosses in, and he does this, and he does that. I don't know what it is. I think it's the nonchalant body language a little bit for Ben White. It's his relaxed nature. Similar to Saka, there's other wingers that do more flicks and tricks and step-overs and eye-catching stuff. I think players like Sancho maybe do more eye-catching stuff than Saka. But in terms of a right-hand side, right-back, right-winger connection, there's not many that are playing football to the level that these guys are. You know, to put it into perspective, I think I was just looking at the table. The Invincible team scored 73 goals in a season. We've already scored 75. Do you know what I mean? So that's going to give you some perspective as to the kind of output, the kind of level of output that we're looking at from these players is ridiculous. And it doesn't matter to me whether it's aesthetic or whether they're going to get highlight reel clips and all the rest of it. Maybe not, but it works.
Listen, it works. We're there this season. We're top of the table right now. United, Liverpool tomorrow. We can sit back and enjoy that as much as we can. Hopefully we enjoy it a hell of a lot. Munich, a couple of days after that. Best preparation, we won't talk too much about that. Another clean sheet, another win. But like I've asked Laurie, I've asked Frank, I've asked Jen, I'm going to ask you too. Any questions you had going into this game that have been answered for you, and how, you know, would you set up against Bayern in terms of the questions that most people will ask, maybe up the front three, Partey or Jorginho, left back? Who fills these positions for you?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. For me, one of the signs I saw in this game that gives me a lot of confidence for Tuesday is the celebration. We celebrated well, clearly, passionately, but not over-celebrating. Do you know what I mean? Not like, and it's good that it's so tight in the league. You know, when we were celebrating last season, it was like, oh, we're 6-7 points ahead. Maybe we've got it won. And the concentration of this team is that we haven't got it won. We know that. And that's why I said on the stream, and I'll say again, being the chasers is so much better for us. Still being a relatively young team, still being a relatively inexperienced team. I think that suits us much more. Good celebrations, enjoyed the performance. They clearly, even when Gabriel makes that tackle, but it's not a celebration of we won the league. It's not that cocky, arrogant celebration, So the mentality for me is right in the right place. I think the back four we've got to keep as close as possible. Maybe we can do a Kivior or a Tomiyasu starting. I could see that over Zinchenko. I think that, I don't want to disrespect Bayern. They have top European pedigree. They only won it a couple of years ago. But, the German football is going to be a lot slower. It's going to be a little bit less athletic. I know they've got Alphonso Davies. They've got some outliers that are really, really athletic, but it's not going to be the running game that, I'm really curious to see how they set up against us, to be honest with you. Do you mean they're the guys that are not on form? They should be looking at us thinking, damn, we've got to put everything into this. We're in two competitions and we're competitive in two competitions. They are out of their league completely. I think Leverkusen are only 2 wins away from securing the title. So for Bayern, this is really big. They have to be sitting there really thinking about how they prepare for us. We just have to manage the fitness, manage the legs. For me, Jorginho starts. He's been playing so well. Him and Ødegaard creating chances and balls over the top and different things like that. I looked at the goals that Bayern conceded today. We can get at them. They play a high line. We've got pace. We've got directness. I think Martinelli probably has to start and Jorginho has to start. And those two, and maybe Kai Havertz as well. He knows German football very well. He's played against Bayern. He knows a lot of the players personally from the Germany team. So for me, those players, the back four would stay close to the same, minus Zinchenko. The midfield has got to have Jorginho in there, got to have Ødegaard in there. Who plays in the 8? I think it'll probably end up being the same because you're not going to drop Rice really. So then that ends up being pretty much the same. Maybe you take Saka off, he's looking a bit leggy, and I don't know, maybe a Trossard and a Trossard, Martinelli, and Havertz. And for me, that team's end up picking itself. I didn't even think I really had a full 11, but that team's that's naturally how I'd set up for that game.
Last question: are we favourites against them or?
I don't think we're favourites. You could call it a 50-50 game. They've got history, they've got legacy, they've won it. We've never won it. We haven't even we've struggled to get past this stage. Even when we were in it for the last few years, this is the stage we get to, and this is normally the stumbling block. The mentality of these players now is so different to even last season. Just with one season, the coaching that Arteta does, the improvement. Chelsea fans can't believe the Kai Havertz they're seeing. They think it's a different person. They can't believe the Jorginho they're seeing. They think it's a different person. So for me, the coaching he does is unbelievable. And I think that it's a 50-50 game. It's a straight shootout. They'll be really lacking confidence and, we can really prey on them.